This is a public broadcast. Do not adjust your YouTubes. Subscribe!
I've heard it said many times that the Tales series is the equivalent of JRPG comfort food. Now, while there are a few entries that I think such a statement does a disservice to, particularly Symphonia, Vesperia, and Berseria, I kinda see what people mean when they say that. Ever since Tales of Phantasia first dropped in 1995, the Tales series has been a constant feature of the JRPG landscape. And since entries started getting Western localization, the number of games in the series has skyrocketed, with 14 mainline entries released between 2000 and 2016 alone. So with 14 games released in 16 years, the indication would be that at this point the series is basically all but annualized, right? However, it seems that criticism from both fans and critics over the series' failure to evolve and innovate, especially in recent years, has finally become a key point of focus for Bandai Namco, who will have been working on the latest entry in the Tales series, Tales of Arise, for over 5 years when it finally releases this September. So with the annual release schedule scrapped in favour of less frequent and more refined releases, how will this new entry fare? Well, judging by this demo, I think the time might finally have come for Tales to graduate from comfort food to gourmet dining. Right from the start, you can see that the Tales team have sought to move the series forward in almost every way. Starting with the visuals, if you compare them to those of the last release in the series, 2016's Tales of Berseria, the difference is night and day. While the demo only gives you access to a few areas, the landscapes look stunning, with Unreal Engine 5 showing its chops here, especially in the lighting and VFX departments. Much like the other elements that we'll talk about, while it still appears to have that distinctive Tales anime aesthetic, everything just looks more fleshed out, giving the characters and their animations more weight and gravitas. The art direction is stellar too, combining interesting topography with great character and animal designs. I mean, we've got cows, we've got sheep, and we got Wait, what the fuck? The music is also typical Tales fare, presenting a mix of heavy rock and sweeping orchestral pieces depending on the situation. But all of it fits perfectly into this new, more defined version of the Tales formula. At the opening of the demo, you get to choose between one of 6 characters. However, if like me you're in danger of sitting on the character select screen for 25 minutes trying to decide who to use, don't worry, you can switch between them freely at any time, both in the field while exploring and during combat. Once you've chosen your character, you're dropped into what is clearly somewhere in the mid-game. As such, it's worth noting that it's impossible to evaluate how good the story is going to be in the full release at this point, as this demo doesn't really focus on it and is instead about sampling the moment-to-moment exploration and combat. Time will tell, I guess, but it can at least be noted that the characters all seem decent, if a little bland, and there wasn't one of them that annoyed me or stood out as bad. But like I said, it's not really possible to fully judge these elements just yet, I guess. What can be evaluated a little more thoroughly though, is the combat, and oh man, is this some good shit. As is clearly the approach with all aspects of Tales of Arise, the combat takes the older systems seen in the previous entries and modernises it beautifully. As previously mentioned, players control one of 6 party members at a time, with 3 of the others fighting alongside you. You have standard attacks which are performed with the R1 button, and then dodge or block moves, depending on who you're using, which are assigned to R2. On top of this, you have your special attacks, or arts as they're known in the Tales series, which are mapped to the triangle, square and cross buttons. These can also be separated into those used when on the ground and when in the air, allowing for 6 arts to potentially be assigned per character at once. However, in order to use arts, characters must first build up their arts meter by using regular attacks and achieving combos, allowing for a nice risk-reward element when deciding to unleash them. Also, as mentioned earlier, You are able to switch characters at any point in battle, meaning you can tag different arts together to create massive combos. On top of this, you are also able to call in attacks from any other team member with a one-off cooldown based move. Positioning is also of paramount importance here, with the ability to move freely around the designated battle area and even certain enemy weak points that can be targeted on larger bosses or more powerful enemies, allowing for them to be dazed for a time. Finally, on top of all of this, there are also strike attacks, which either provide a finishing blow or a significantly damaging hit once the strike meter is filled, through the successful use of arts and combos. As if all of this wasn't enough, the variation in combat styles between the characters is yet another string to Arise's bow. It's amazing how different all of these elements feel when you're using one character compared to the other. And as you begin to master switching and deploying the right moves at the right times, things only become more and more satisfying. In short, the combat is one of Tales of Arise's biggest strengths, and even after playing the demo through multiple times, I was still going back and actively seeking out encounters just to have more fun with this system. The other big element on show in this demo is exploration. As you traverse even these few small maps, there are hidden nooks and crannies everywhere, which hold new weapons, ore, or ingredients, the latter two of which can be used at a campsite to cook food that applies certain timed buffs, or to craft new gear, which will increase your stats. Also, whenever you camp, you get a look at this thing. That's pretty good, right? Also, the small skits and conversations between characters that many Tales fans will already be familiar with make a return, and can be viewed again, or even initiated sometimes from campsites. They're also a little more animated than they've been in previous games, with just character portraits in various states of shock being replaced with animations that are a little more dynamic. So that's the good stuff. What about the bad? Well, there isn't too much, to be honest. The voice acting can be a little stilted when playing in English, although the Japanese option is also available. And the only other element that I would really say stuck out is one that is known to veterans of the series at this point, and concerns how much all the characters talk when in battle.
Mega Ray! Annihilation! Hear me! Flame of Fury! Burning! Freeze Lancer! Got it!
Now, I know some people don't mind this, and some actually like it, but some of these boss fights go on for a good minute, and listening to a constant stream of 6 characters talking over each other at the same time personally grates on me after a while. A small issue, I know, and not one that comes close to ruining the game, even for someone like me who's pretty bothered by it, but worth mentioning nonetheless. All in all, Tales of Arise seems to be shaping up to be the step forward that the series needed. It looks great, plays great, and improves on almost every element of the series' last few entries. While it's impossible to tell at this point whether it will tell a compelling story or not, and its characters can feel a little flat, there is so much to be excited about on display here. As ever, time will tell, but right now, Tales of Arise is personally one of my most anticipated JRPGs of the year. And even as a long-term fan of the series, it's been a while since I could say that about a new entry.
This is a public broadcast. Do not adjust your YouTubes. Hey, all you movers and shakers out there. I think I know what you're thinking. You're thinking I want more. I want better production value. I want a Discord, a Patreon, and lovely merchandise for the family. Well, we're here to tell you that your dreams can come true. For the low, low price of subbing, sharing, and liking or disliking, you can expand First Outpost and make it even more amazing. Plus, our wonderful creator won't starve to death. So why not sub today and enjoy slightly pretentious content straight out of your internet sooner than you think? Thank you. And remember, as always, stay safe out there. Public broadcast ends.